Hello, my name is Tony Beers, and this is Movie Grades.
And just like the movies, we play out our last scene.
Hey everybody, Tony Beers here again, and this is another episode of Movie Grades. In this episode of Movie Grades, we're going to review The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies.
That is correct.
You're correct.
And I'm Tony Beers, and I'm joined with
Russ.
and
Robin Kreutzer.
we're gonna keep this simple. We're just gonna kind of talk about what we liked and what we didn't like. So I'll start with Russ.
Alright, let's start with what I liked. First of all, I want to offer a major apology to one of the actors. I said the actor who played Thranduil in The Desolation of Smaug, he didn't put enough effort into the role. This movie completely proved me wrong. It turns out it's not that he wasn't putting enough effort into it, he was actually holding back something for the third movie, which was very much more elaborated on in the third movie. And to top it off, we got to see more personality fleshed out for a few of the extra dwarves, as well as Thor and Oakenshield. We got an epic battle, which at times did feel like it was getting a bit draining, but they pulled back it in, reined it back in for the pacing later on. So overall, I personally thought it was definitely the best of the three. It had an epic conclusion. In general, I just thought it did pretty much everything as it needed to do it.
Robin?
Russell, I will agree with you on the Thorn storyline. I believe he had the most emotion and characterization through the movie. However, for me, the movie was just slow-paced towards the final battle, and then when it was the final battle, it was still slow for me. It didn't reach... I was highly expecting this to be good. Unfortunately for me, I believe it was the worst out of this trilogy of the Hobbit movies.
I'll start off by saying that this movie is gorgeous, just like the rest of the Hobbit movies and the Lord of the Ring movies. There's certain cases the CGI wasn't so great, but the rest of it just looked amazing, including Evangeline Lilly, who looked really sexy in this one. I really like her look. You know, I don't know what it is, red hair, elves, or what.
Whatever does it for you, either one.
That's why it's called fantasy.
Yes.
Good point.
Kind of suffered from so many characters that they didn't get all equal screen time, which is understandable. They focused on the more major characters like Thorn and Bilbo and Gandalf.
Don't forget trying to connect to the Lord of the Ring movies.
Right.
Which I think it did very well.
Yeah.
Now, okay, well, I just have to toss this in. One thing I will confess that I thought, like, kind of dragged down a bit. I know they're working with a lot more characters because of, you know, more of the Bilbo's party as opposed to the Fellowship. Because of that, when something tragic might have happened to them, unless they were really fleshed out, it was harder for me to really be pulled into to those tragic moments. Like, you know, I appreciate it because of the way the movie handled it, but at the same time, because, like, I give the movies credit for he at least tried to take certain ones of the dwarves and flesh them out here and there where he could, and I give them credit, but I'd be like, okay, now which one was that happened to? Because I don't remember.
Yeah.
So, but I thought he did what he could. It's just when you got so many characters in that party to work with, you can only do so much. So I accept it, but still, it was a bit distracting in that regard.
Exactly. Like half the characters I didn't even know their names. You know. Or I couldn't remember their names, and I mean, like I was saying about some of the smaller characters, like we were talking about that guy that turned into a bear. You know, I don't think he had any lines or anything. I don't know, but and like the goblins didn't really do much. You know, and half of the dwarves, you know, didn't. I think a few of them didn't even say anything. You know, so. You know, that's not too bad, like you're saying. It's just so many characters that you can only focus on so many, so...
Oh, and they had that weasel, Alfred.
Oh, yes.
They focused on him a little too much, only to see nothing happen to him.
That's true. I mean, like I was telling you, spoilers, I wish they'd killed him, and they didn't. He was just a jerky character, but he did give a lot of comic relief, so I give him that.
That's probably why, though.
Yeah. So... and one thing that kind of disappointed me too was Smog. I mean, you know they were going to kill him, and they kind of they did a good job, but I would have. I'd expected a little bit more. Let's just say that. I enjoyed I think the best part about the Smog is you get the I can't even remember the character's name, the bowman, and you get a nice scene with him and his son, and they're kind of teaming up to take down Smog, and so that part I like, but I don't know, it just was lacking something.
I want to thank you for bringing that up, because it actually reminded me of something that I found a nice touch to the movies, and I actually, folks, did not realize this until we saw the movie. The way Peter Jackson gets you into each of the movies, I actually referred to the script of the original Lord of the Rings as very Shakespearean. Technically, the way they bring you into each of these movies is also the same way. It has a very Shakespearean feel. He knows it's going to drag at the beginning, but back in the day when they would try to get the people in the forum or arena or the theater to watch the movie, they'd have something dramatic happen on stage. Technically, they do that in each of the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies, but I didn't even realize this until the last one. I thought it dragged a little bit at the beginning until they brought the presence of Smaug on screen into such a way it really just pulled you right in, and I realized he's doing this in a Shakespearean way. I give him a lot of credit for this. And it's just something to watch out for, and it's a great touch. Seriously, check any of the other Lord of the Rings Hobbit movies out. He does it in every single one.
Yeah, like I said, he likes to start the movie off with a bang, and which he did in this one. So, Robin, you have anything else to say?
Well, of course, having Smaug come back for the first 15, 20 minutes until he goes away from that fatal arrow shot, that's really is what the second movie should have ended with.
I said that too, yeah.
Because the title, Desolation of Smaug.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite misleading, Peter Jackson.
I think what he was trying to do is he's trying to set up a kind of a cliffhanger to get people to come back, but
Well, there could have been different ways to do the cliffhanger too.
Yeah.
But then again, we're not Peter Jackson, so.
Oh, one thing I wanted to mention was that some of the motivations seemed kind of weak. I thought, when the elves joined the battle, it's kind of like they wanted diamonds, I guess. That part I didn't quite get.
Well, essentially, from what I understood, when Smaug took over Erebor, he the treasures of several different tribes were in there, including some of the elves and some of the dwarves, and I guess they were trying to reclaim their possessions now that they were no longer had to deal with Smaug anymore. That was my understanding.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't get that. I was like, okay, they wanted diamonds, all right. Yeah, that's all I got was that it seemed as though they were heirlooms that they had a long time ago, and Smaug's not here. Let's get it back. The human
and the Lake Town people, they wanted their share.
Yeah, the Lake Towns people, their motivations I got better. They seem to be more relatable. They wanted the guy, the main one of the main characters from the Lake Town. He was the one that killed Smaug, and he made a deal with the dwarves, and he just wanted to him to hold up his end of the bargain. So it was more relatable to me as he just wants he didn't want tons and tons of riches. He just wanted to get paid, basically. And so that's the thing, the dwarves could have easily afforded it because that treasure was huge. It's bigger than Uncle Scrooge's treasure, So they could have easily afforded it. But they said that Thorn, he had some kind of dragon sickness,
dragon virus,
something like that.
Dragon sickness, something like that.
Made him greedy. It was
part of
that.
It was part of his story overcoming that. And I don't want to reveal anything, but trust me when we tell you, folks, that part will really pull you. Certain things with Thorn will really pull you in this movie like never before.
I'll say I think this is the saddest of the three. Would you guys agree?
I mean, Like, you mean because of, like, all the deaths of the important characters?
Because, yeah, there's a lot of people die, and there's, the deaths and stuff like that.
See, here's the thing, though. In a way, maybe. The reason I say maybe, though, is because, don't forget, because you have so many characters that you're working with, and they're not fleshed out enough, since it's harder to really, get filled with, with as much sympathy, it's kind of hard to say if it's the weightiest one. I think it is the weightiest one in terms of all... Here's the thing. I think this movie shows Peter Jackson is trying to get a lot done in this movie, and it shows. Like, he's trying to cover so many areas. I think with what he has to work with, he does it very well, but it is a lot to take in, and it can be draining at times. I'm not going to deny that.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and some of the deaths are kind of thrown in there where you're like, wait a minute, which one's that one?
Yeah, you don't even know who they are. That's what Russell was saying. You don't get to know them enough to really care about them. So,
and I'm also, some of the fight scenes towards the end, they were so predictable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah. I'll end with this last complaint, and that is, this is a common one, and that is that Peter Jackson makes his movies really long. Which he does. This one, I really don't know what he could have cut out, really. I mean, for me, the pacing, the movie just went like that for me. I mean, it didn't seem to drag, for me, it didn't seem to drag. You said it dragged.
It dragged for me.
You. I was invested in the movie since the beginning, and it went all the way through, and that last battle is, when you look up the word epic in the dictionary, this battle is going to pop up there. So, it didn't drag for me. How do you feel?
Actually, I'm glad I just realized. No, it didn't drag. I mean, it dragged in the sense it was a bit draining again to take everything in. But here's one thing I liked about this battle. Now, I love the battle in Return of the King. One thing I always had a problem with, though, was when they bring in those dead soldiers, and I was like, wow, this CGI, one scene just looked terrible. It didn't meld well. At least with everything, it all looked like it worked together. So this time, I think it's like what he would have done had he been able to do it back then, but with the way he wanted to do it. And I think in general, it just worked really nicely. The editing maybe could have used a little bit of work, but in general, I think it was done as best as he could have done it.
Okay. I think we all wrap it up here, so we'll give our grades. Sarah, go with Russell.
I'm going with an A.
An A. Robin?
I'm going with a C+.
Okay.
C+, wow. Like I said, the movie's gorgeous. The actors do a really good job. The special effects are good. Not so good sometimes, but usually really good. The story was pretty good. Some of the motivations I felt was kind of weak. I didn't think it dragged. So they usually are long, movies, these Peter Jackson movies. But this one felt pretty quick to me. So I'll give it a B, a solid B. How's that? That sounds good. I'm kind of in the middle of you too. So my name is Tony Beers.
I'm Russ.
Robin Kratzer.
We'll see you next time.
Toxic Pop has a new Facebook page. Like it to see pictures and keep informed about our upcoming events and videos. A link is in the description. Go to www.facebook.com/toxicpop1.